Hello, everybody, and welcome to this conversation with Educate the Children who will be doing their project in Nepal. I am Veena Khanke, the Director of Grants and Partnerships at Dining for Women, and I have Lisa Lyons with me from Ithaca, New York. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, hello everyone.
Glad to have you here. So, just a reminder to all our members that we are recording this conversation on Monday, April 13th. Most of you are likely to watch this recording in the month of May. Anyways, let's get started. Lisa, I believe you have a presentation to share with us about your project.
I
Go
do.
ahead and share that.
Okay. Well, again, thank you all for having me, with taking the time to learn about Educate the Children today. We're extremely grateful to have been selected as Dining for Women's featured grantee for May 2020. I'm going to give you a little rundown in this presentation, just a little rundown of what our work generally is, our program model generally is, and what it's going to look like in the villages in which we will begin working in the Sansari district of eastern Nepal once it is medically safe to do so, given the current pandemic situation. So I'm going to talk first a little bit briefly about each of our three interrelated program areas. The first one, as you can guess from our name, Educate the Children, is children's education. You can see the bullet points, some of the work that we do. I will mention, first of all, that everything we do, including children's education, the goal is to help people, children and adults, develop the skills and the confidence and give them the basic beginning resources that they need to improve their own lives, both immediately and in the long term, to really break the cycle of poverty. Our target population is families with extremely limited resources. These are rural folks, these are isolated folks, and they are living really on the economic margins, as well as in many cases on the societal margins based on their place in the caste system. So, for example, in the villages in Sansari, into which we hope to move when it's safe to do so, these people are living mostly with cyclical debt, meaning that only 16% of the households in the areas that we intend to work have no debt at all. So 84% of them have some debt. And what usually means is they will take out one high interest loan to pay off another, and then they'll take out a third one to pay off that one, and so on. And the interest rates can range up to 36%, which is, of course, astronomical, even if you're not living on the economic margins as they are. And it's really entrapment. You know, they're kind of at the mercy of these loan sharks who are controlling their lives, and there seems to be no way out. Well, there is a way out, and we're here to help with that, because the way to get out of that is to gain the skills and the knowledge that you need to earn more money, to pay off those loans, to become more economically self-sufficient, and to keep those skills and pass them on to others in your community and your family who may need them and who may also be able to benefit from them. So that's just a little about our overarching goal. As for the children's education, as you can see here, I won't read the bullet points, you can do that, but you can see from the pictures, these are all kindergarten classrooms, okay? The two on the left and the one on the right. The one on the right is one that we've been working in, and obviously the visual changes are striking, but the qualitative changes that we make with teacher training and so on are also very striking, because that really makes the long-lasting difference in children's quality of children's education. The second area in which we work is women's empowerment. This is really about tapping into women's previously untapped potential and abilities. Most of these women are functionally illiterate. They've had very limited schooling, and yet they are so determined and so really fundamentally talented. There are so many ways in which they can and do and want to work hard to improve their own lives. And I'll just mention here the bullet point there that says microcredit fund management, and the bottom one that says women's cooperatives. The cooperatives are the legal structures, legally recognized structures that we help them set up, and then they run them themselves, and they last indefinitely. We've had some from 20 years ago that are still going strong. The ones that we helped set up in our current villages are already managing by themselves $138,000 in microcredit funds, which they loan out to their members at reasonable rates, and for their income generating activities and so on. And that is an astronomical sum in rural Nepal. $138,000 is unheard of. But these women, they have so much ability and so much desire, really, to improve their own lives and their families' lives and their communities, and it's really remarkable. The third program area that I want to talk about, and this is the one that was emphasized in the video, and which was the component of our work that we emphasized in our application to Dining for Women, is sustainable agricultural development. So the objectives here are to help women specifically, learn to raise greater quantities of more nutritious food year-round and earn more money doing it. So that way you combat food insecurity, you increase your household income, you combat malnutrition. Some women are able to raise their household incomes by 50% or even more, which is, of course, again, hugely impactful and really helps you get out of cyclical poverty. So why does this all matter in the long run? Well, I've listed a few reasons here, but one of them that I didn't, kind of an overarching result that I did not list specifically, is that these changes are not short-term. They don't wear out. They don't expire. Once you've gained skills and knowledge and confidence, you can keep applying that. You can share it. And it lasts a lifetime and it lasts indefinitely. And it really, really helps these families get out of the cyclical poverty in which so many of them are mired. So where we're going next, when it is safe to do so, again, is 4 wards of Ramdhuni municipality in the Sansari district. This is in far eastern, southeastern Nepal. It's a rural area. You can see from the statistics on the screen there that there is both a definite need and an active desire for the kind of work that ETC does. Most of these folks own little or no land. 80% of them are involved in agriculture for family income, and often that means that they are wage laborers in someone else's field, day laborers, and there may or may not be consistent work for them. 47% of families raise no food, basically, and another 22% raise only enough for 2/3 of the year, up to 2/3 of the year. So they're not raising enough food for themselves, and they don't have presently the money to pay for it. So this is where we're here to help. We're here to help them raise more, better food year-round and earn more money doing it. And these are the women that we're working with who will be doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And we will be doing this, of course, as I've said, when it is safe, given the pandemic situation, for us to do so.
Absolutely. So while I wait for you to come back to our screen, Lisa, I wanted to give a sense of an update to our members in terms of what is going on with the pandemic. Dining for Women is being forced to do a lot of belt tightening. Things have changed here in the United States, but I think, like you, we are going to do everything we can to fight for women and girls everywhere.
That's right.
But we are making adjustments and we are adapting to the situation. We're going to be flexible in terms of how we can achieve all of this. So to start off, how exactly are you coping with all of this? And give us a short scenario and tell us more.
Sure. Well, first of all, just for your members' information, Educate the Children in the US consists of myself and my colleague, who are both half-time people, and we are doing the publicity and so on. The bulk of the staff, which is 16 additional people, are in Nepal. They are Nepalis living and working in Nepal. They're doing the program work and the local administrative work and so on. And we are committed to keeping everybody on staff, and we've been able to do so. And we hope to continue to be able to do that. We expect to be able to do that for the time being, certainly, and as far ahead as we need to. We certainly programmatically, there is not much we can do right now. My board president and I have been in phone contact with the Nepal director, who has pointed out that given that the country is under lockdown, this is April 13th, when we're recording this, it is presently scheduled to be under lockdown until April 15th, 2 days from now. But the prime minister has already said this is probably going to be extended beyond April 15th. And I would be completely stunned if it wasn't, frankly. So we're already assuming that we will not be able to do our scheduled program work from when it was cut off back in mid-March through the end of April, at least. So we're going to have to reschedule some things, certainly. There are some trainings and so on that we had been planning that cannot now happen because group activities are forbidden. And in rural Nepal, obviously, nobody can have Zoom meetings because that's not, the technology simply isn't there. But we want just to give people the kind of training and support that they need. So we're just going to have to push things forward a little bit.
Absolutely.
And then keeping also in mind that the summer is the monsoon season, so we'll have to work around that as well.
Absolutely. So flexibility seems to be the name of the game.
Yes,
You
absolutely.
have shared with us that Educate the Children works in communities over very long periods of time, that your impact may be smaller, but it is much deeper and sustainable over time, and that these families live on the edges of poverty and have credit issues that hamper their future planning. Tell us more about these very interesting women who are very talented, the agricultural transformations that you're making, even in their own little kitchen gardens.
Right. So the women have not usually had much formal education. They may have had a little. The older they are, the less likely they are to have had very much formal education. Younger women are a little bit more likely to have done better than their own mothers in that regard. But they are all economically marginalized. That's our target population, because it's very much a matter where we want to work with the people who need the basics most, who need, the kind of expertise we can offer, the kind of support we can offer, who need and want it most, which is why we go where we are invited. And we do work intensively in a relatively small geographic area for a period of, this next cycle is going to be a 5-year cycle. So we'll be working there for 5 years. And the goal is to provide them with the skills and the resources they need and the confidence that they need to bring themselves out of cyclical poverty and continue to, like I said before, these skills don't wear out, right? So the real key ingredient here that we see in the women with whom we work is determination. They are so eager to learn and so eager to get the help that we can give so that they can turn around, make their own lives better, make their families' lives better, share what they know with their peers, their neighbors, their friends, their family in the next village. And it really spreads from there. There's no limit on how long this knowledge will last or how far it can go to help people help themselves. And that's really the key. They're so determined. I'm going to mention a little story from previous years. One of our women's groups wanted some additional training. This was after ETC had left their villages, and they wanted some more in-depth poultry training. Well, in previous years, they wouldn't have thought of that at all. But now they went out, they looked for it, they went to the local government to find out where they could get support for it. They applied for it, they managed it, they got the training, and it worked. They're implementing these kinds of things by themselves now. And more to the point, their families are seeing them do it, right? The next generation is seeing them do it. Their sons and daughters and their grandchildren are watching them make better lives for themselves. It's really so broadly impactful. It's remarkable to see.
Absolutely. Well, we don't have a whole lot of time, but we do see that you are transforming the way the women are functioning in terms of managing the co-ops and getting their kitchen gardens going.
Mhm,
And if they have their poultry, then they are managing that. And
mhm.
clearly, you have seen that the young girls in the family seem to be dreaming big dreams and chasing them down too, right?
Yes, yes, they are. Many of them, the girls are at least as likely as their brothers to be staying in school nowadays, whereas previously it was often the case that if a child had to be kept home from school because of family financial problems or for whatever other reason, it was the daughter because she was expected to do chores or watch the younger siblings or whatever, or perhaps because she was going to get married young and you
Mhm.
know why continue your education, etc. Well, girls are going on through high school now. Many of them are going on for future post-secondary education, such as teacher college or agricultural college. I met a young woman on my first trip to Nepal. I met a young woman who was the sixth child in a family of seven with five older brothers. She was not likely to get any kind of education, but she was supported through ETC, and her family was supported through ETC. And when I met her, she was a PhD student in mathematics, and she was explaining her work to me. And of course, I had no idea, but it was remarkable. This is a girl who wouldn't have had a chance 10 years
Absolutely.
earlier. So it
It
was
is
it was great to
transformation.
see.
Yes.
And not everybody is going to do that. If not everybody needs to go to get their doctorate, but every family that we touch, every family that we work with improves their lives in some way. It's their better health. The mothers and fathers have more equitable personal relationships. They're eating better. It's it's remarkable. It's so broad and it's really wonderful. And a lot of it does come down to the agricultural work because that is a source of health, nutrition, gives the women a way to make money, and that empowers them. um, and then if they start and run an agricultural business, like their little, even if it's just selling their kitchen garden produce for $25 a year, which is a massive sum in rural Nepal. $25 doesn't buy us dinner, right? But it might keep their kid in school. So the agriculture is really key to ensuring the health of the entire family in many ways, financially as well as physically and emotionally.
Absolutely. Well, during these difficult times, I think all of us have to double down and do what we have to do to give opportunities to and access to communities that are worse off. You have a wonderful history of making transformations in your communities. We wish you the absolute very best. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.